We are starting with the front block. As you can see, I have my block card here. It's called card because it's thicker than the normal pattern paper. Because I already know what I'm going to teach here today, that's why I'm using my block card. But for you, I will encourage you to please use a lighter pattern paper and a pencil. Have your eraser by your side. When you make mistake along the line, you'll be able to erase and continue. And make sure you have enough pattern paper that will cover the length and the width of your drafting. Now, we are going to be working with two measurements today. That is the horizontal measurement and the vertical measurement. The horizontal measurements are the measurement going across, while the vertical measurement are the measurement coming from up straight down. We are going to be starting with the vertical measurement. I like to start with vertical measurement so that you know where to take your horizontal measurement from. As you can see, there's already an horizontal line drawn. That's 1.5 inches from the beginning of the block card. And at the side, this is vertical line, which is 1 inch from the side of the block card. So when you are starting, make sure you have these two lines on ground. Now we are going to start with the vertical measurements. These are all my measurements here. As you can see, it's step-by-step guide to make it easy for you to understand. So I'm going to place my tape from the beginning here all the way down. This start line happens to be the waist line. So my number one is going to be a waist vertical point, which is this point here. Then number two, the hip vertical point. My hip vertical point is 8 inches. From this point here down, I'll mark 8 inches. Number three, the crotch vertical point. My crotch vertical point is 12 inches. From this waist point down, I'll measure 12 inches. Number four, the thigh vertical point. My thigh vertical point is 15 inches. From this waist point down, I'm going to mark 15 inches. To get your thigh vertical point, you measure 3 from the crotch point down. So when you take it from the waistline, you have 15 inches. So number five, the knee vertical point. My knee vertical point is 21. So to give some free allowance to the knee area, I'm going to step it up by 2 inches. Instead of marking 21, I will mark 19 inches. Number six, my ankle vertical point. My ankle vertical point from the waist point is 38 inches. So from this waist point down, I'm going to mark 38 inches. The ankle measurement is never the final full length of your trouser. The full length of your trouser is about 2 or 3 inches from your ankle point. But here, I'm going to mark 2 inches. You can go as far as 3 inches if you like. It doesn't really matter. So that you have room to adjust whenever there is need for it. I'm marking 14 inches, 2 inches away from the ankle point. So this is the full length of my trouser. 40, not 38. Now I've gotten all my vertical points. I'm going to rule across, label the lines, so we know which is which as we go further. The waistline, hip line, crotch line, thigh line, knee line, ankle line, and the hem line. Now we've gotten all our lines. We now know where to take all our horizontal measurements from. Number 8, the hip circumference. If you look vividly, you can see the numbers at the side so that you know which number to go when you are drafting. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. So we are in number 8 now. Number 8, the hip circumference. I normally start with the waist measurement. Then now we are going to be starting with the hip measurement. Why? Because this hip measurement is going to play a key role at this crotch line and also at the waistline. That is why we are starting with the hip measurement. My hip circumference is 39 inches. And that 39 inches, I'm going to add 1 inch to it for ease allowance. So that will be 40 inches. And that 40 inches, I'll be dividing it into 4 places. I will use one part to create the hip measurement because we are drafting 1/4 of the whole trouser. When I divide 40 by 4, I'll have 10 inches. And that 10 inches is what I'm going to mark along this hip line here. Here. And I will also go to the crotch line and measure the same 10 inches. And I'll go to the waistline and measure the same 10 inches as well. Then I'm going to join these 3 points together with a vertical line like this. Number 9, the crotch measurement. I already have 10 inches here. So to complete this crotch measurement, I'm going to be dividing the hip measurement by 5. So when I divide the hip measurement by 5, and that I'll have 2 inches. And that 2 inches, I'm going to add it outward from this point out to this crotch line. With that, the crotch line will be completed. So I'm going to be marking from here to here. That's the 2 inches. With these 2 inches added to the 10 inches, I'll have 12 inches. So the crotch line is already completed. So for us to get the thigh circumference, the knee circumference, the ankle circumference, and the hemline circumference, we are going to divide this crotch line by 2. This crotch line is already 12 inches. So when I divide this crotch line by 2, I'll have 6 inches. I'm marking the center of 6 inches here. 6 inches on that side, 6 inches on this side. So these 6 inches, I'll be marking the same at the waistline, the hip line, the thigh line, the knee line, the ankle line, and the hem line. Now I'm going to connect all the points with a vertical line. So this line now will now serve as the center line. This will help us to shape the trouser properly. This straight line now is going to help us to put the proper measurement at the thigh line, knee line, ankle line, and the hem line. Number 10, the thigh circumference. My thigh circumference is 21 inches. When I divide 21 inches by 2, I will have 10.5 inches. And that 10.5 inches, I'm going to put the center of that 10.5 inches along this vertical line here. The center of 10.5 inches is 5.1 inches. So this is the center here, as you can see. So I'm going to mark half on this side, half on this side. So this will be, then I'll mark the 10.5 inches here. Number 11, the knee circumference. My knee circumference is 16 inches. When I divide 16 inches by 2, I'll have 8 inches. That 8 inches, I'm still going to divide it into 2. Half on this side, half on this side. Place the center of 8 inches at this center line here. The half of 8 inches is 4. Then I'll mark 4 here. Then I'll mark 8 here. Number 12, the ankle circumference. My ankle circumference is 13 inches. It's 3 3/4 inches. This is the center of 3 3/4 inches. So I'll mark 6.5 here. I'll mark 3 3/4 inches there. So number 13, which is the hem line. The same measurement I have at the ankle line, I'm still going to bring it down to the hem line. Let's go 5 inches here. Now we are back to the waist measurement. So number 14, the waist circumference. My waist circumference is 30 inches. When I divide 30 inches by 4, I will have 7.5 inches. I'll be adding 1 inch to it for the dart that is going to come to this area later. Then I will now have 8.5 inches. Now 8.5 inches, I'm not going to take the measurement from this side. I'm going to take it from this side. You will see the reason later. So this is number 15, connecting of the points. We're going to connect all these points together. First point that we need to connect is to connect the crush point to this upcoming line here. You know the crush measurement is 12 inches. So after we connect the point, then we'll measure to make sure we have our 12 inches. It's very important. You can connect it with a French curve if you have one. If you don't, please carefully maneuver it with your hand. It's a shallow curve, it's not a deep one. I have my flexible ruler, which is 12 inches by length. If you don't have a flexible ruler, you can use your tape to do the measurement. We're going to measure 12 inches from here upwards because the crush measurement is 12 inches. You need to get that 12 inches. It's very important. As you can see, there's a little bit left here, about half an inch. From here to this point, it's about half an inch. So I'm going to mark it. The trouser is high rising weight, that's why it's 12 inches. So I have my 12 inches like this. Then this is where I'm going to curve my waistline from. So the next thing is to connect this point to this side point here. The next point to connect is to connect this waist point to this hip point here. I'm going to do that with the French curve. If you don't have a French curve, please carefully maneuver it with your hand. Connect this point through the crush line to this tie point here. And connect this point to the knee point here. You connect this point straight down to the ankle line and the hem line with a straight ruler line point. Connect this point to this point, this point to this point, this point to this point, and this point to this point. The last thing we need to do here, which is number 16, is drafting of the dart. This is our new waistline here. This one is no longer our waistline. We are going to take our dart measurement from this point here. So the length of my dart is 4 inches. So along this center line here, I'm going to measure 4 inches. 4 inches is here. Then the 1 inch we added to the waist earlier, we are going to use it now. Half an inch on this side, half an inch on the other side. And we'll connect this point to this point to this point. Now we're going to add a little triangle here to enable us hold our dart in properly. We'll connect this point to this point to this point. The front block is completed. Now I'm going to trace it out with a marker so that you can see all the lines vividly at home. Trace all the lines out with a marker. I believe now you can see them at home vividly. The next step is for me to trim it out. I successfully trimmed it out. Now, I'm going to use this front block to draft the back block. To draft the back block is the easiest. To start, I'm going to start with the crush line here. I'll be extending this line with 2 inches outward. There's this point here. Then I will step it down with half an inch. Here. Why? I step it down with half an inch so that the inner seam of the back block will match with the inner seam of the front block. This is where we are going to take our cup from, not this part. So the next thing we need to do, we find the midpoint between this point here and this center point here. So I'm going to mark it here. This crotch line here, I'm going to measure between this point and this point. What I have there is 2 inches. So I'm going to use that inches to put this point upwards. Like this. Then this is our waistline here. I'm going to still draft it out. like that. So the 8.5 inches for the front waist, I'm still going to use the same for the back waist on the slant form. So this is the 8.5 inches here at this line. Now the hip line, the crotch line, the thigh line, the knee line, the ankle line, the M line, I'm going to extend them with 1 inch. I'm going to come to the inner leg, extend this with 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. Now we've gotten all our points. I'm going to remove the front block. The crotch point is the longest point. From this point to this point, you mark that first. You come to the knee point. This is the knee point. You mark. We mark the thigh point later. And you come to the ankle point. You connect. The hemline point, you connect. From this point to this point, the waistline. Then now you connect this point to this point with a French curve. If you don't have a French curve, please carefully maneuver the curve with your hand. It's kind of a deeper curve. And you connect this point to this point, to this point, and to that point. I marked all the lines out with a marker. I believe you can see all the lines vividly at home. The next step is to trim it out. I've trimmed it out successfully. These are blocks. You don't use blocks to cut out your fabric. What you do, when you finish drafting your block, you copy your block to a lighter pattern paper. Then you add 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the edges. At the bottom, you add 1.5 inches, both the front and the back. All around is 1/2 inch seam allowance. It's only at the bottom you will add 1.5 inches. 1/2 inches for the inner folding, then you turn it, you use 1 inch to hem it. That is how it is done. When you start using your pattern paper and you find out that it's not good enough for you to use anymore, you come back to your block, recopy it, add seam allowance to it, then you start using it all over again. These blocks are for keeps. That's why I like creating blocks. I've gotten my trouser block. I'm going to keep it. Now, I want to create the waistband, the flyer, and the top cover of the flyer. My waist measurement is 30 inches. I'm going to measure exactly 30 inches. No ease allowance add to it. The width is going to be 1.5 inches. I'm going to measure 1.5 inches here. I'll measure 30 inches here. Then I'm going to add 1.5 inches for the overlap that's going to be in the front. I'll do that. Next, I'm going to draft the flyer. The flyer is 7.5 inches by length, while the width is 1.5 inches. Then the last one is the cover for the flyer. I'll be using 8.5 inches for the length, then 2.5 inches for the width. The waistband, the flyer, and the cover I'm going to trace it out with marker so that you can see them at home vividly. After that, I'll trim them out. Finished drafting the trouser block. This is the front block and the back block. This is the waistband. As you can see, it's 30 inches by length, 1.5 inches by width, and the overlap in the front 1.5 inches. This is the flare, 7.5 inches by length, 1.5 inches by width. And this is the cover for the flyer, 8.5 inches by length, 2.5 inches by width. This is all about this tutorial. If you like this video, please give me thumbs up. If you have any question whatsoever, please don't forget to leave it at the comment section below. I'll be more than glad to answer any of your questions to the best of my knowledge. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please try and do so, because this channel is loaded with lots of useful videos that will be of help to you. And like I said before, this is a discovering channel. There are so many things that you've not seen in fashion world that are already on this channel, and more are still coming. Please help bring people into this channel by sharing this video to them. They will thank you for it later. Don't stop only on this video. There are other videos lined out for you on this channel for you to come and watch. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. God bless you.